You ever finish a game and think, wait, that's it? Not because the game was bad, but because it was so good it needed more. A sequel's too far away, and post-launch content never came. These are the games that deserve DLC, but for some reason, they got nothing. Or worse, they got the wrong kind of DLC. Welcome to HiddenPatch, where we uncover the games that deserved better, and maybe still can. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss the next drop. Let's get into the list. And we're starting with a web-slinging adventure that fans begged to expand, but got left swinging in the wind. Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales. This game was short, sweet, and so good. But that was kind of the problem. Miles Morales wasn't just a reskin of Peter. His movement felt lighter, more stylish. His powers, like Venom Shock and Invisibility, made combat feel fresh. The vibe? Way more chill. Harlem felt lived in. Miles had a voice, a culture, a whole identity that set him apart, and fans loved it. But just when it really started to build momentum, it ended. The campaign wrapped up in under 8 hours for most players, and beyond some street-level side missions, there wasn't much else. No post-launch story DLC, no additional villain arcs, no deeper dive into Miles' personal growth. Even Peter didn't get a side story to tease the sequel. And sure, some people will say it was always meant to be a standalone spin-off. But let's be real, it didn't feel finished. There was so much room to explore. What happened between Miles and Peter before Spider-Man 2? Could we have gotten DLC about Miles facing off with new villains? Or maybe something building up his mentor role? But Insomniac moved on. And what we got, while excellent, felt like a tightly packed appetizer with no main course. Miles Morales deserved DLC not because it was lacking, but because it was so good, it left everyone craving more. Next up, a game that was supposed to get DLC, and technically never did. Instead, we just kept waiting, and waiting, and waiting. Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is one of those rare indie games that feels like a full-blown masterpiece. Massive interconnected world, razor-sharp controls, haunting atmosphere, and deep lore that fans still obsess over years later. And the wild part? It cost like $15. $15 for a 30-plus hour experience that rivals games 10 times its budget. So when Team Cherry announced a DLC called Silksong, fans lost their minds. We were finally going to play as Hornet, one of the game's coolest and most mysterious characters. But then, the DLC got bigger. Then it became its own game. Then it vanished into the indie abyss. No content expansions ever dropped for the original Hollow Knight. No new bosses, no new areas, no side quests or lore DLC. The only thing we got were dreams, teased areas, cryptic dialogue, and theories about the Pale King, the Radiance, and what lies beneath Hollow Nest. It's not that Hollow Knight needed DLC to be great. It's already phenomenal. But with so much world building and narrative potential left hanging, a post-launch expansion could have tied up loose ends and satisfied the hunger that Silksong delays only made worse. At this point, waiting for Silksong feels like waiting for Half-Life 3. But imagine if we got even just one DLC to bridge the gap. Instead, Hollow Knight was left untouched. A beautiful, intricate world, abandoned at its peak. Now, from bug kingdoms to galaxy-spanning lightsaber duels, a game that begged for more, but got left behind in hyperspace. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Star Wars Jedi Survivor had everything lined up for an epic DLC rollout. You've got an original main character in Cal Kestis, massive unexplored planets, rich Force lore, and Order 66 flashbacks just waiting to be expanded on. And yet, nothing. The game launched with a few performance hiccups, but under the hood, this was a blockbuster-level single-player experience done right. Lightsaber combat, clean. Story, emotional, risky, full of twists. Level design, Metroidvania-style backtracking on beautifully detailed worlds. But once the credits rolled, it was over. No DLC, no extra chapters, just a slow fade-out. This is a Star Wars game, mind you, a franchise that practically prints side stories. Fans were expecting at least one narrative expansion, maybe Something showing Cal's early years, a side mission with Marin, or even just a self-contained Order 66 flashback like Fallen Order teased. Instead, EA and Respawn stayed radio silent. The focus shifted toward the inevitable third game in the trilogy, leaving Jedi Survivor in this weird limbo. Still talked about, still praised, but with no post-launch support to keep the fire going. The game had so much setup, emotionally and narratively, that a story DLC would have landed hard. Instead, the galaxy moved on, and Jedi Survivor remains one of the best Star Wars games to never get the DLC it absolutely deserved. If you've made it this far, you've just unlocked the Expansion Denied achievement, awarded only to the real ones who stick around for the abandoned greatness most people forget. Drop the phrase Expansion Denied in the comments so we know you're still tuned in. And while you're here, smash that like button, subscribe to HiddenPatch, and ring the bell. We've got more deep dives on the way, and you don't want to miss what's next. Now, speaking of games that got left behind, let's talk about Control. When Control dropped in 2019, it felt like Remedy had tapped into something truly unique. A shape-shifting brutalist building, telekinetic combat, a mysterious government agency, and Jesse Faden, one of the most low-key, powerful protagonists in recent gaming. The setting? The Federal Bureau of Control, an otherworldly government facility where objects of power could literally rewrite reality. It was weird, creepy, stylish, and deeply addicting. So when Remedy announced DLC plans, fans were hyped. Everyone was expecting content that dove deeper into Jesse's powers, the Bureau's origin, or the unexplored sectors of the oldest house. But instead, we got the Foundation, which was decent, but mostly focused on a side story underground, and Awe, a crossover with Alan Wake. Now, Alan Wake fans were thrilled, but Control fans, they were like, yo, where's the DLC that expands this world we just got invested in? No post-ending follow-up, no deeper dive into Jesse's potential, no DLC that truly picked up the narrative where it left off. And the worst part? Control screams for expansion. New altered items, more bizarre side missions, even co-op missions set in the shifting rooms of the Bureau could have been insane. Instead, Remedy seemed more focused on laying the groundwork for the Remedy-connected universe and left Control's most passionate fans in the dust. The result? A game that absolutely should have become a franchise centerpiece, but only got a couple DLCs that felt more like side dishes than the main course. Now let's rewind to a PS4 launch title that had all the potential in the world, but was abandoned before it could even begin its journey. The Order 1886. The Order 1886 is one of the most frustrating what could have been stories in modern gaming. Released as a PlayStation 4 exclusive in early 2015, this game was absolutely jaw-dropping visually. Cinematic presentation, seamless cutscene to gameplay transitions, and a beautifully rendered steampunk London crawling with werewolves, half-breeds, and mysterious knights. But for all its technical achievement, it was short, like 5 to 6 hours short, with barely any replay value, limited gameplay mechanics, and a story that clearly wanted to set up something much bigger. And just when it seemed like it was building to something epic, boom, cliffhanger, end credits. No DLC, no sequel, just silence. What's wild is that the Order had the foundation of a full-on franchise. The world was rich with lore, the technology versus magic setup was compelling, and the main character, Galahad, had this gritty anti-hero vibe that could have carried multiple games. But instead of expanding it with DLC to fill in the gaps, like maybe Galahad's Exile or deeper lore about the half-breeds, Ready at Dawn and Sony just walked away. To this day, fans still bring it up whenever people ask, what game needed a second chance the most? Because the Order 1886 didn't just deserve DLC, it deserved redemption. To close things out, let's turn the dial to one of the most chaotic, underrated open-world games ever made that never got the post-launch love it earned. Sunset Overdrive. Insomniac's Sunset Overdrive was pure, unfiltered chaos, in the best possible way. It was Tony Hawk meets Ratchet & Clank meets an energy drink-fueled apocalypse, with wall running, rail grinding, and absurd weapons like the TNT Teddy, yes, a teddy bear grenade launcher. Set in a city overrun by mutant drinkers of a toxic beverage called Overcharged Delirium XT, this game ditched realism and said, let's just have fun. The traversal system was silky smooth, the humor was unapologetically meta, and the art style popped like a Saturday morning cartoon during a sugar rush. But after its cult following rallied behind it, players waited for DLC that expanded on the city, gave us more mutant types, or even a co-op story mode. Instead, what we got were minor content packs, a few extra weapons, cosmetic items, and 2 small add-ons that didn't push the story or the world forward in any meaningful way. And then, nothing. Despite the massive potential for post-launch chaos, or even a sequel, Sunset Overdrive faded into cult classic status. No story DLC, no new cities, no continuation of that fourth wall-breaking madness. To this day, fans still beg Insomniac to revive the franchise, but with their focus now on Spider-Man and Wolverine, the future looks grim. Sunset Overdrive didn't just deserve DLC, it deserved to go completely off the rails. Some games live on through endless expansions and DLC drops. These ones, they were left behind. Whether it was cliffhangers with no closure, worlds begging for more chaos, or characters whose stories just stopped. Each one had potential for something more. But instead of DLC, all we got were unanswered questions, and maybe a meme or two. But hey, that's what Hidden Patch is for. We dig up the forgotten, rant about the missed opportunities, and keep these games alive in our own way. Oh, and if you made it this far, you just unlocked a secret achievement. Left behind, not forgotten. Drop that phrase in the comments and let's see who the real ones are. Don't forget to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. Catch you in the next one, Patch Hunters. Stay hidden, stay legendary.